Hello, I'm Charlie Mitchell and welcome to the session today, which is Unexpected Gurus, our children as our spiritual directors. I'm really excited to be with you today. So when we think about spiritual gurus, we usually have an image of our mind of what that means for us. It may be, I've got a picture of a sadhu there from India, maybe a holy man. It may be a book that we've read. It may be thinking of going on a retreat or a kind of spiritual pilgrimage. It may be meditation. There's all kinds of different ways that people sort of engage with spirituality. But we often think of the spiritual gurus as people quite kind of old or wise or older in years who have lots of experience and who can guide us on our spiritual path. I personally have got quite a different perspective from my personal experience, and I'd love to be able to share that with you today. So I've been influenced by some pretty incredible people. I've got a couple of people here who I absolutely love. Caroline Myers has got some fantastic videos on YouTube and has developed some really interesting approaches exploring spirituality. She has her own spiritual director that she talks about. And I've really appreciated her perspective and her approach to spirituality. I also really adore Matt Kahn. He's got some beautiful books and again lots of YouTube videos, and he's written a book called Whatever Arises, Love That, and it's a really powerful book that has spoken quite deeply to me. So I definitely have been influenced by other adults and other people who are kind of further along that spiritual journey compared to me. But I've also had other influences, and I wanted to speak a little bit more about those other influences. So before I had kids, I had expectations of what that would be like and how that would be, and I think it was really summed up well with Play-Doh. Actually, I really felt that I was going to get a little person, a bit like there was a little cartoon or a little kids program called Morph when I was young, and it was a little Play-Doh person, and I really expected that I was going to have this blob of Play-Doh and I would be able to mold this Play-Doh, and I would be I'd be able to make an impression on them. I would be able to help them grow and develop, but it was very much coming from a place of me being able to influence them. That was my perspective before I had kids. I even had loads of craft activities and loads of craft stuff available from before the kids were born, all ready for this sort of creative kind of making experience that I was expecting. When I actually had kids, I had quite a different experience of it all. And what I found was that actually they have, from the very, very minute that they're born and before they're born, they have their own personality, they have their own experiences, they have their own perspectives, they have their own view and values and beliefs from a very, very young age. And there's a picture of my son Ali there, who was just a blissful delight. It was a really wonderful baby, and that picture was pretty typical of his early experiences. So yeah, it was very fascinating to me, because Ali and my other two children were very much in the world and ready to go from the word go. They knew what they wanted, they knew what they liked, they knew what they didn't like, and they knew what felt good, they knew what didn't feel good, they knew what they needed, even if they weren't able to express that. And it was really fascinating. The socks on the other side of the other picture come from a conversation that my daughter and I had when she was about 6. I was asking her to get some socks on, and she could only find one sock, and I said, well, go and find the other sock, let's find the other one. And she went off and got and came back a little while later, and you may notice that the socks that just don't look quite right. Well, one of the socks is a real sock, and the other sock is a photocopy of the first sock. And that kind of summed it up to me, really, that our kids do have their own experiences, their own way of doing things, their own way of being in the world. And I just loved that creative solution. I thought that was absolutely superb. I would never have come up with that. I would never have thought of photocopying my own sock in order to make a pair. It was a unique approach, but it really inspired me, along with millions of other moments, to be able to start to see how it wasn't about me moulding them. It was much more about them starting to have an influence and an impact on me becoming a better person and a better parent. So Thomas entered the world. So Thomas was born in 2017, and he came out into the world like a rocket. He was born at home, and it was the most incredible birth. He was very, very quick to come into the world in just a few hours. But he was also incredibly unwell, so we transferred into hospital very quickly. And it turned out that Thomas has Down syndrome. Not that that in itself is an issue, but his body took a long time, or a little while, to get started. We were in hospital for about 3 weeks. It was a massive shock. I didn't know that he was going to have Down syndrome before he was born, and I was really stumped. How do I become a parent to a child with Down syndrome? What do I need to do? How do I respond to this? How do I support him effectively? There were millions of questions in my mind that I just didn't have any answer to. One of the things that became clear very quickly from the doctors was that there is no pathway with Down syndrome. Every child is unique. Every child has different pacing. Every child has different milestones. And so we just see how Thomas goes. And I really appreciated what they said. Whatever happens, we will do what we need to do at the time to support him. So we didn't know at that point how things would unfold. We didn't know if he would walk. We didn't know if he would talk. We didn't know if or how he'd be able to interact with the world. So it was a very, very uncertain time in lots of ways, but it also led me to celebrate every single tiny detail. Every single milestone became a massive opportunity to celebrate and congratulate Thomas. He also very, very quickly, it became apparent that he just oozes love. He's an absolute love machine. He celebrates everything. He loves being in the world, and he loves contact and connection with other people, and that's been the case since he was actually in ICU, and he heard other babies crying and he would respond, which was really quite moving at such a tiny young age when he was so unwell. So he entered the world with kind of a bang, and he has had an absolutely massive impact on my parenting and how I approach parenting and my perspective and my in my life in general. So what changed within me having these 3 incredible children? Thomas, obviously with Down syndrome, my son Ali, who's highly sensitive, and my daughter Ellie, who has autism. So parenting is no longer just about changing things in the outside world. Parenting is about how I'm willing to change and willing in response to really seeing this person before me. And I say person because I have this real sense that they are a whole person. This isn't just about them, being small and not understanding or not having what they need. They have so many resources within them, and they are whole. They need my support in different ways, but it is to be able to support them to do what they want to do, rather than in order to become whole. So I've really felt that children are sacred. They absolutely come with the sacredness inside them from the word go. Children create ripples in the world. Thomas in ICU had an impact on the nurses, had an impact certainly on us as parents, and has made a massive difference to the people around him. And he's only just 3. So it's really fascinating how much they can have a ripple effect in the world, even if they don't necessarily talk or walk or interact in the way that you might imagine. They're here to teach us, and we've got so much that we can learn, and they are really our spiritual leaders. We can learn deeply spiritual, have deeply spiritual experiences and learn deep spiritual lessons from our kids. And from those changes that happen within us, we can then be inspired to change the systems, which for me then gets very exciting. So tangible differences since Thomas was born in 2017. Facing mortality, you know, the reality that nothing lasts forever, I do much more seize the moment right now and really appreciate what I have now. It makes a massive difference to me. Connection is built with love from your heart and not from words or even gestures. So for me, it's really, really important that I connect with my own heart first. This is an absolutely vital part of my process and my experience now, in a way that it wasn't the case prior to him being born. Everyone deserves to live their life at their own pace and for their pace to be honoured and respected. And this really fascinated me because I'm such a go-getter. I'm so active. I'm so proactive. I love to be involved in all kinds of things. My life is absolutely at a slower pace now, and my plans are slower and I take more time. And I've really appreciated that different connection with time that Thomas has brought into my life. Also, tiny actions build every day into massive things. And this really, I was really inspired by the physiotherapy that I attended to help Thomas to walk. I'd never learned about how to help somebody to walk before. This was a new experience for me. I didn't have the slightest idea to start with what I was doing. And it really inspired me to explore what we can do with 10 minutes a day that we do consistently. So the thing with the physio was not to just save it all up and do like 2 hours once every 2 weeks. We really needed to do 10 minutes a day of consistent activity to really help Thomas to build up his muscles. And it made me realise what an absolutely massive difference those 10 minutes can make. So as a result, things like I've been able to set up Stroud Imagines, which is a local community project, and also start the Starseed School doing an 8-week programme during lockdown. And neither of these things would have happened without that mentality of being able to use those 10 minutes a day consistently. So I'm changed. It impacts everything I do, and it includes how I'm showing up as a parent. So this for me is a real integration of those lessons, of this spiritual journey that is enabling me to live my life differently as a result of how my kids are in the world. I absolutely love this saying, Namaste. My soul honours your soul. I honour the love, light, beauty, truth and kindness within you because it is also within me. In sharing these things, there's no difference between us. And we're the same, we are one. And that is that true meaning of that phrase, Namaste. It's so beautiful. And it really does feel important to notice that when we're thinking about our kids, really honouring that light and beauty and truth and kindness within them, that feels like a really important starting point of our parenting. So I'm not saying that it's easy. Having 3 kids with 3 very different needs as a single parent is a massive undertaking, and it has required me to step up in the world and step up in ways that I hadn't expected. I've needed to be on top of my physical health, to be really fit, to really honour my sleep patterns, to really support myself with my own journaling and processing and healing in order to be the best parent that I can be for them. And it does definitely bring us into contact with aspects of ourselves that we don't like. So when we're starting to notice our emotions and starting to get awareness of our internal processes, there can be massive emotions: guilt, blame, shame, anger, hate, frustration, sadness, grief. I mean, just the whole caboodle. And certainly through having Thomas and all my children, those emotions have come up on a number of occasions. Especially having children that experience the world differently, that it can be a very emotional journey, and there can be a lot of challenge with that. And it's led me to do a lot of inner child work for myself, to be able to explore what's important and what's triggering me, what's impacting on me, and to be able to get to a place where I can sit with any of those emotions and be okay with that. that's had an absolutely massive impact on my parenting, and I feel it has a massive impact on my children's ability to be able to sit with their emotions. The more comfortable I am with my emotions and my emotional journey, the more okay my kids are with their emotional experiences and their emotional journey. And so being able to sit with those emotions and learn what they're telling me has then been enabled me to sit much more with my kids and explore what those emotions are for them. And then we can make a decision to take action from a place of awareness rather than a reaction. And that then for me starts to get very exciting. That then is getting to the kind of crux of the work that Caroline Myers and also Matt Kahn talk about in their work. And then we are able to explore our reality from a proactive place rather than a reactive place. And children can support us on learning these lessons and take us on this journey. And for me, that's really very exciting. So what can we all do differently? Well, there's loads of opportunities, and I explore this in the Starseed School with parents who have kids that experience the world differently. We can be present, we can look with love, we can be embodied and grounded, courage to be ourselves and to stand in our truth. And this is really tough when you're a parent of a child that experiences the world differently, whether that's courage to be ourselves in front of our children, or whether that's courage to be ourselves in front of other professionals who may not agree with our approach or our way of being with our kids. It may be courage to be ourselves in front of our family, who may have, again, a very different experience. So there's real opportunities here to be able to step up and to be the best that we can be, using that challenge as kind of food for learning, or using the manure and actually being able to turn that into an incredible experience. It's a catalyst for our learning and for our growth. So being open to be deeply changed as a result of truly seeing the person in front of us, and that can be a very humbling experience, and it can bring us into contact with those early childhood experiences that we've had, and with our own emotions that can be really challenging. And it's alchemy. We're able to make those change those experiences and open up new possibilities for our kids. So there's a real symbiosis of learning, and I put that infinity sign, that 8 line on its side. There's a symbiosis of that learning from our children that inspires us to be the best version of ourselves, that we can then learn more from our kids and then inspire us to be even better parents. And from this place of deep learning, deep appreciation, deep understanding, I then believe that we're in a much better place to make systemic changes and to fight for the systemic changes that are needed. And it's very different coming from that place of having been personally impacted and influenced by our incredible kids. So this is co-creating with the universe. This is for me, this is co-creating at its best, where we're open and present and aware and able to respond rather than react. And this for me is sacred parenting. This is using the gifts and really digging deep into the bigger picture of what it is for our kids to be here in the world. Rather than looking at the kind of simple presentation of the things that are going on in front of us. So if you're interested, the Starseed School is a free community. There are paid monthly options for membership if you want to dive deeper and want to get more support with this. We reflect and explore parenting from this perspective of our children being our spiritual directors. And we use a process over a period of time to explore how that works for us, how we can use these experiences to be able to develop ourselves on a personal level and then be able to support our kids more effectively. And it's from the perspective that these kids are here for a purpose and here to support us to be the best that we can be, as well as being incredible in their own right. We can embrace this opportunity. So there's details there. If you're interested in finding out more, I would absolutely love the opportunity to walk alongside you during your journey, and to support you to find new joy and new peace in your own parenting journey, and hopefully for that to lead to you being able to support your kids more effectively. Thank you ever so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.